out of the car seat, and I laid him on the chair, and I had his diapers right here, and then someone said, "Hola."
7-month-old Emmanuel Haro never got the chance to grow up. A fragile infant whose life had only just begun, his short existence came to a tragic end under circumstances that have horrified the community. Authorities now say his death could have been prevented. They argue that the warning signs were there all along, signs that pointed directly to the violent past of his own father. His father, Jake Haro, should have been behind bars for a previous child abuse case. That earlier case showed a disturbing pattern of behavior, one that, if taken seriously by the court, might have spared Emmanuel's life. At a press conference, District Attorney Michael Hestron called the judge's decision an outrageous error, saying the justice system failed Emmanuel, and that failure cost him his life. His statement was not just an expression of anger, but a public acknowledgement that a preventable tragedy had occurred because of leniency in the justice system. At a press conference, Riverside County District Attorney Michael Hestron, flanked by the sheriffs of Riverside County and San Bernardino County, called the case a failure of the justice system. He directly criticized the judge who had sentenced Jake Haro in his earlier child abuse case, saying the court's decision not to send him to prison ultimately cost Emmanuel his life. Hestron stated bluntly, if that judge had done his job, Emmanuel would be alive today. He added that the suspended prison term given to Haro in 2023 was an outrageous error in judgment, calling it both a shame and an outrage. According to Hestron, prosecutors had asked for prison time at the sentencing, but instead the judge gave Haro what he described as an extra break. Standing beside him, San Bernardino County Sheriff Shannon Dicus and Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco echoed his criticism. Dicus referred to Haro as an experienced child abuser, pointing to the injuries of his previous daughter, who was now bedridden. Bianco stressed that the crime was preventable in numerous ways, making clear that stronger action by the justice system could have protected Emmanuel. The Riverside County Superior Court declined to respond directly to Hestron's claims, citing the ongoing nature of the case. The Public Defender's Office, representing both Jake and Rebecca Haro, also did not immediately issue any comment. Court records reveal Jake Haro was arrested in 2018 for child abuse during a previous marriage. At the time, according to an affidavit filed by police, Haro claimed he had dropped his baby in a sink while giving her a bath, causing several broken bones. However, medical professionals who examined the child concluded that the injuries did not match Haro's explanation. The severity of the injuries left the child bedridden, permanently disabled, and under constant care. He pleaded guilty in 2023. After years of delays in the case, Haro finally admitted responsibility, but his guilty plea did not result in a significant prison sentence. Prosecutors pushed for prison, but instead, Haro was handed a lighter sentence: probation, jail time, work release, and counseling. Records show that he was required to attend a child batterers treatment program, submit proof of completion, and participate in a work release program as part of his punishment. Prosecutors had sought a 4-year prison sentence, arguing that Haro's actions demonstrated a pattern of abuse and posed a continuing risk to children. The 4-year prison term he faced was suspended. Instead of serving state prison time, Haro completed the programs required by the court. By May of this year, he had submitted proof of compliance, which the court accepted. The consequences of that decision are now under public scrutiny. With Haro now charged with the murder of his 7-month-old son Emmanuel, legal experts, law enforcement, and members of the community are questioning whether the leniency shown to him in 2023 allowed a dangerous abuser to remain free, ultimately leading to Emmanuel's death. In the 2018 case, Haro claimed he had accidentally dropped his baby in the sink. He told investigators that while bathing the child, she slipped from his hands and struck the hard surface, causing injuries. This explanation was entered into the police affidavit as his official account of what happened. But medical reports painted a darker picture. The injuries didn't match his story. Nurses and doctors who examined the baby determined that the fractures were not consistent with a simple fall. Instead, the injuries suggested repeated force or trauma. The discrepancy between Haro's claim and the medical findings raised red flags for both Child Protective Services and law enforcement. The child suffered broken bones and was left bedridden for life. Multiple fractures across the body left the child permanently disabled, unable to walk, and reliant on ongoing medical care. The suffering caused by those injuries continues to this day, years after the incident. Authorities now describe Jake as an experienced child abuser. Both the Riverside County District Attorney and the sheriffs involved in the current investigation have pointed to the 2018 case as proof that Haro had a long-standing pattern of abuse. Law enforcement officials believe that if stronger action had been taken back then, 7-month-old Emmanuel's death. Charging documents suggest Emmanuel may have died between August 5 and August 14, days before his mother reported him missing. According to prosecutors, the window of Emmanuel's possible death spans more than a week, raising suspicion that his parents deliberately delayed reporting his disappearance. The official report notes that on August 14, Rebecca Haro told investigators her son had been abducted from a Yucaipa parking lot, but evidence now points to Emmanuel having already been dead by that time. Investigators believe the baby endured extended abuse before his death. Authorities have stated that Emmanuel showed signs of prolonged mistreatment, consistent with a pattern of neglect and violence within the home. Detectives believe this abuse escalated in the days leading up to his death, and that both parents may have played a role in concealing what happened. A recovery operation is underway, with teams searching fields and remote areas, guided at times by Jake himself, though so far no remains have been found. Over the weekend, law enforcement officials, including search and rescue units, scoured isolated areas in Moreno Valley and nearby desert fields. Jake Haro, dressed in a jail jumpsuit, was brought along to help lead investigators toward the suspected burial site, but despite hours of searching, no physical evidence of Emmanuel has yet been recovered. Authorities remain committed to locating the infant's remains to bring closure to the case. Initially, Rebecca Haro told police she was attacked in a Yucaipa parking lot while changing Emmanuel's diaper. She reported that on August 14, outside a Big 5 sporting goods store, a stranger assaulted her while she tended to her baby. According to her statement, she lost consciousness during the attack. She claimed she woke up to find him gone. Rebecca insisted that Emmanuel had been abducted during that brief period and portrayed herself as a victim of a violent kidnapping. This version of events formed the basis of the initial missing child report, sparking a multi-agency search effort. Appearing on television with a black eye, she tearfully begged for her son's return. In an interview broadcast by KTLA-TV, Rebecca faced cameras, visibly bruised, pleading with the public, "If you know anything, please come forward or take him to the cops. Please come and bring my son back. I'm begging you." Her emotional appeal gained widespread attention and initially rallied community concern. But investigators quickly found inconsistencies in her account, and when pressed, Rebecca stopped cooperating. Detectives noted that the details of her alleged assault changed with each retelling, and surveillance footage from the parking lot did not corroborate her version of events. When confronted with these contradictions, Rebecca ceased communication with investigators. Authorities now say the abduction story was fabricated. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department later confirmed that evidence pointed to the entire kidnapping narrative being staged as a cover-up. Officials now believe Rebecca's false claim was an attempt to deflect suspicion from herself and her husband following Emmanuel's death. As the case gained traction online, rumors spread across true crime forums and social media. Within hours of Emmanuel Haro being reported missing, social media platforms, discussion boards, and true crime communities began speculating about what had happened. Posts ranged from sympathetic messages hoping for Emmanuel's safe return to more sensational claims, including accusations that the parents were involved. The story quickly went viral, fueled by both news headlines and a fascination with the tragic circumstances surrounding the infant's disappearance. Online, some users claimed that Jake Haro had confessed in jail to fellow inmates about Emmanuel's death. Other commenters suggested that the abuse had been going on for months, linking it to his previous 2018 child abuse case. These narratives, though unverified, spread rapidly, with some posts accumulating thousands of shares and comments. Social media users even began theorizing about potential burial sites and critiquing police tactics, creating a digital frenzy around the investigation. District Attorney Hestern firmly denied these claims, warning against keyboard warriors who spread misinformation and disrupt investigations. Speaking at a press conference, Hestern emphasized that the spread of unverified claims can harm the investigation and interfere with law enforcement efforts. He explained that the rumor of a jailhouse confession was completely false. Hestern stressed that authorities were focusing on verified evidence and factual information regarding Emmanuel's disappearance and the ongoing search for his remains. Law enforcement officials expressed frustration with the online speculation, noting that while public interest is understandable, the constant circulation of false information creates challenges. Investigators pointed out that social media rumors can mislead the public, create unnecessary panic, and even compromise the integrity of the case. Hestern urged the community to report credible information to authorities rather than rely on internet speculation, stressing that the priority remained the recovery of Emmanuel and building a strong legal case against his parents. The warning from Hestern was clear: in high-profile child abuse cases like Emmanuel's, social media can become a double-edged sword. While it raises awareness, it can also hinder justice when misinformation spreads faster than verified facts. Authorities continue to focus on the evidence gathered from the Haro's home, their electronic devices, and interviews, rather than engaging with the rampant online theory circulating in real time. Investigators seized phones, iPads, gaming consoles, and even the couple's vehicle while combing through the family's Cabazon home. Law enforcement officials conducted a meticulous search of the Haro residence, examining every room and piece of evidence. According to attorney Vincent Hughes, who represents Jake Haro in a separate case, investigators collected 2 iPads, one still in its box, 3 Xbox gaming consoles, and multiple smartphones. Each device is now undergoing forensic analysis to uncover text messages, social media activity, photos, or videos that could shed light on Emmanuel's final days. The seizure of the couple's vehicle was particularly significant. Investigators believe that the car may have been used to transport Emmanuel or hide evidence related to his disappearance. Police are examining it for DNA, fingerprints, and other physical traces that could link the parents to potential crime scenes outside the home. Detectives emphasized that every item collected could play a critical role in reconstructing the timeline of events leading up to Emmanuel's death. Over the weekend, search teams scoured dusty Moreno Valley fields in hopes of recovering Emmanuel's remains. Authorities deployed multiple units, including local police, sheriff's deputies, and search and rescue teams, to comb isolated desert areas and open fields. In some cases, Jake Haro himself was present, providing law enforcement with guidance on areas he claimed to know. Despite their efforts, search teams came up empty-handed, finding no trace of Emmanuel's body. The search was methodical and exhaustive. Investigators used drones, cadaver dogs, and ground-penetrating equipment in addition to on-foot teams to examine every potential location. Helicopters provided aerial surveillance of the rough terrain, while specialized K-9 units attempted to detect any trace of human remains. Authorities caution that even with these advanced techniques, finding remains in such a large and remote area can take days or even weeks. Despite extensive searches, the baby has yet to be found. The uncertainty surrounding Emmanuel's whereabouts has weighed heavily on the community and intensified the sense of urgency among law enforcement. Officials maintain that recovering Emmanuel's body is critical, not only for justice but also for giving the family, investigators, and the public closure. Sheriff's departments continue to coordinate their search, expanding to nearby fields and remote areas if new leads emerge. At the same time, investigators are analyzing all collected evidence from the Haro's home and electronic devices, hoping to piece together the circumstances of Emmanuel's death. Law enforcement officials have emphasized that the combination of physical evidence, forensic analysis, and witness statements will ultimately be used to hold Jake and Rebecca Haro accountable for the murder. Jake and Rebecca Haro were arrested at their Cabazon home. Law enforcement officials executed the arrest after weeks of investigation and extensive searches for Emmanuel. The couple was taken into custody without incident, and investigators immediately began processing the home and personal belongings for additional evidence. The arrest marked a major development in a case that had drawn national attention due to its tragic circumstances and the perceived failures of the justice system. Both face charges of murder with malice and remain in custody on $1 million bail each. Prosecutors allege that the Haros' actions were deliberate and that the abuse leading to Emmanuel's death was prolonged. The high bail amount reflects the severity of the charges and the ongoing concern for public safety, as well as the risk of flight. Legal experts note that murder with malice is one of the most serious charges in California, carrying potential life imprisonment or even a death sentence in certain circumstances, though prosecutors have not indicated seeking capital punishment in this case. Their arraignment is set for September 4th. During the arraignment, both Jake and Rebecca Haro will be formally presented with the charges, and their attorneys may enter pleas on their behalf. The upcoming court proceedings are expected to involve extensive examination of evidence from prior abuse cases, electronic devices seized from the home, and witness testimonies. Media outlets are preparing for coverage, given the intense public interest in the case and its implications for the criminal justice system. Authorities remain clear on one point: this tragedy was avoidable, a child's life lost because of a system's failure. District Attorney Michael Hesterin and the sheriffs from Riverside and San Bernardino counties have repeatedly emphasized that stronger action in Jake Haro's 2018 child abuse case could have prevented Emmanuel's death. The statement underscores ongoing concerns about judicial discretion, probation versus prison sentencing, and the long-term consequences of leniency in child abuse cases. Officials continue to urge the public to focus on verified information and support the recovery and investigation efforts, while the Haros await their day in court.